record these sessions, and then as others join us, we can go from there. All right. So, and I'll probably repeat this if Lakeisha or Tabitha join us. They're the other two in the class. You are now in 712, which means you are in your 6-hour course. And by most standards, by Gardner-Webb standards, this is when you do your defense. I mean, not your defense. This is when you do your proposal to the committee. And then when you get in 713, is when you will do your defense. So you really are looking at possibly defending your dissertation sometime in December is kind of the time frame that we're going to be pushing for. Now, that's the ideal, but that does not mean that that's going to work for you because you all were working professional, so it may or may not work. So let me get.
What about the proposal, Dr. Stone? When will that be?
That should come in August.
Okay.
But in order to do that, we have to have chapters 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And that's what the purpose of this semester at 712 for is, to get you ready for that proposal. And then 713 is to get you ready for chapters 4 and 5 and to get you ready for your defense. Now, you can go on to 714, 715, but every time you do, Gardner-Webb is collecting money from you. So I strongly encourage you to take advantage of 712 and 713 and finishing it up. Now,
so I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
You mentioned defending in December. You and I
For January, but I mean finishing everything and being ready around that time frame of December, January.
Okay, because you told me Christmas break was going to be, I could use that time. I was just making sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. So let me, by the way, I have created a shell for you. So let me share. And if you have, okay, so here we are at the, all right, here's the Gardner-Webb. Yeah, here I am. This is 712A2. Now you need to remember, I don't know, I've got an A1 and an A3, but you all 4 of you are registered under A2. In case that ever comes up, your class is 712, S712A2 for summer, 712A2. So that's the class that you guys are registered for. Now, of course, one of the first things you need to do is to go down here and, where is it? Let me go back to the front page. Okay, here it is. So, of course, the first thing you need to do is to go through and do this enrollment verification activity, the EVA. So make sure you do that at some time tonight or tomorrow. And by the way, these sessions are going to last for about 30 minutes for me kind of sharing what I want to do. And I'm going to talk about the timeline and the framework in a moment. And then it's going to be about 20 minutes for you. I have a 6 o'clock class, so we always have to be done by 5:50 for this session. Now, for the private sessions that we have, that can go on because I will schedule those on the night that I don't have another class. All right. So if you are looking at 712, or if you're looking at what should be in Blackboard, you'll notice here's my welcome to you. And what I'm kind of setting the goal for what our course is. Our course really is to complete chapters 1, 2, 3, and to get you prepared for your proposal. There are 4 goals. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and your proposal. That's where we're trying to get you. There's my information. You can use either my Gardner-Webb address or you can use my personal address. And this is the syllabus. This comes straight from the EDLS handbook. This is kind of what we're supposed to, what we will be doing this semester. I wouldn't spend too much time on it. The next steps, I know all of you probably already have an APA style book. I would not go out and buy a new one. There are no textbooks for this course. Don't go out and buy a new one unless yours is like edition 1. If it's something current, your APA style is the best book for you. The second thing that you want to do, your next step, is to go ahead and get someone's dissertation that they can lend you for this semester. Because I think one of the best things that you're going to find is having someone else's in hand. If it's a Gardner-Webb one, it would be even better because you can kind of get the style of Gardner-Webb, but it doesn't really matter. The same goes for most chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for all universities. But I would go ahead and ask a colleague. I don't mean to do this to Kristen Edwards. She defended hers and did a great job. If you're good friends with Kristen Edwards, she would certainly be someone that I would encourage you to reach out to. She did a great job on hers. But go ahead and get someone that you can kind of put your hands on and have for the semester. If you have not selected your research topic, that's an imperative that we do that now, as well as your 3 or 4 research questions. And if we don't worry, if you haven't got to it yet, we'll work through those in one of our private sessions, but it needs really, really soon. Okay, there's your Blackboard information. Here is where you will be entering items for me to review, chapters 1, chapters 2, chapter 3. Hey, Tabitha. Tabitha, I have brought up, what I have here is your Blackboard, EDLS, you are registered in 712. I think your name didn't come across today, but you should be at 712, so you can go to Blackboard. I was just basically going over some of the syllabus and the next steps, and that's where you joined in. Get that APA style book, get a colleague's dissertation so you can kind of use that as a goal. You and I will talk about your research topic, but that's something we have to do right away, as well as your research questions. All right, so let me go ahead and bring you up to today's, oh, by the way, here are the group sessions over here on the side. I don't know if you can see it, but I will be having group sessions from 5 until about 5:40 on May 21st, which is today, June the 11th, and you'll see why these dates are significant, July 2nd, I know that's bad, and July 23rd. But Tabitha and everyone, what we intend by the end of this course in July 30th is for you to be prepared for that defense, for your proposal, and then ready to move on to chapters 4 and 5. So we got a lot to cover and in the summer. So let me bring you up to, and please stop me if there's questions, bring you up to May 21st. This is our first course, and I will have these populated with different things. But the first thing that's on this particular page of Blackboard, does everybody have access to Blackboard 712? Tabitha, do you have it? You're on mute.
I have not checked, so
Okay.
I'll check after this meeting today.
All right, well, please do, because this will all be there. And it's Tabitha, in case you have more than one, it's 2A. It's 712A2. So that's
712A2. Okay.
that's the one you look for. All right, so looking today, here is the information I really want to share with you today and kind of open it up for some questions. Here is how we're going to spend our 10 weeks together in the summer of 2019 from May 21 to July 30th. All right, here's the weeks, and today is week 1. And so I've got the dates, July 21 to 26, and today's purpose this week is to do your introduction, timelines, expectations, and your assignment always will be in red, is to go ahead and get someone else's dissertation and read chapter 1 and start. Now, if you're already ahead, don't let this slow you down. You keep moving. But this is just in case you're starting from ground zero. This is where you need to be each week. So go ahead and read chapter 1 and go ahead and start working on that chapter 1 outline. Chapter 1 is your introduction, and I'm going to talk about what it should look like in a few minutes. All right, week 2, which is we don't have a session on that week, but that's really when you begin to put your rough draft of chapter 1 together. Chapter 1 should, and we'll talk about how long it should be, what should be in it. But anyway, always go back to this, because this is the pace that I would like for us to go. But if you are ahead, great, keep going. This does not slow you down. But if you're starting from ground zero or close to ground zero, this will pace it where we can get you ready for your presentation by the middle of August. All right, so this 3rd week, you should be working on chapter 1. I would like for you to send me your rough draft, and it needs to be pretty, not too rough, by June the 9th. So that's chapter 1. We're going to do these by chapters. And then you can see you start working on chapter 2. You do the outline, you do a rough draft, and then on June 23rd, you try to shoot me a rough draft, but not too rough draft of your 2nd chapter. And then you see we start working on chapter 3. Rough draft, reading, and then you send a rough draft to me on July the 8th or 9th. And then on week 9, we're going to, I'm sorry, on the 23rd of July. And then that last week, we're going to do some peer review and some make sure you're ready for your presentation. Our intent is, by that 1st of August, is for you to go through the university channels to make sure you have arranged a time for your for your proposal. All right, now let me go back up to, I think I skipped this, but this is Gardner-Webb's dissertation site. This needs to be on one of your favorites for this semester and next semester. So go ahead and make it a favorite, because this will tell you the forms, this will tell you the timelines, this will tell you everything you need to know about the dissertation process at Gardner-Webb. It's a great site. This will take you directly to it. Now, let me go down to some guidance for you. I started this, but again, there's the dissertation site. There are probably a few more frequently asked questions. The length of the dissertation, that really does depend. I have seen some that are about 100 pages. I would not recommend something that small. I would recommend anywhere from 120 to 150 pages. We'll talk about that, but again, it's really about the quality and whether or not you're meeting the standards of chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 that really makes the difference. And I've seen some people do it really well. But that's why it's good to get someone's dissertation to see how much they did. The committee makeup, some very quick questions. There needs to be a chair and at least 2 other members, perhaps 3 if you want them. I would only recommend you get 3. I'm obviously your chair, but if you have not selected your other 2 members, you need to be thinking about that. That needs to be done before this semester is over. And as soon as you have who your committee is, I would like for you to, and you got confirmations that they want to serve. Now here's the part. If they're on your committee, they have to meet twice here at Gardner-Webb. Well, they don't have to meet at Gardner-Webb, but they have to meet twice. You have to be at Gardner-Webb. And twice, we can Zoom with them if they can't drive to Gardner-Webb. It's much better if they're in person, but if they can't, but they need to know they have an obligation of at least 2 meetings with the committee. The chair is going to be a whole different story. We'll be meeting all semester and next semester, but your 2 committee members must commit to being on your committee, because here's the worst thing that can happen. If you set up a proposal and only 2 of us are there, we can't do it. So make sure you get a really good confirmation from 2 people that really want to be on your committee. Now, the question arises is, who can they be? It can be, you have to have 1 full-time Gardner-Webb person, and that's me. So you can check that one off your list. The other 2 people or 3 people could be anyone with a doctorate. They don't have to have a doctorate from Gardner-Webb, but they have to have a doctor of education. Okay? So I would recommend you have a committee of 3. When you get a committee of 4, what you're doing is you're creating more work for yourself, because you have 4 eyes who are reading your paper, 4 people who are asking you questions. So I would truly recommend that you get it down to 3, me and 2 other people. And I would suggest that over the next couple of weeks that really becomes a priority. You get a commitment. It can be your superintendent. It could be your associate superintendent. It could be another professor you've had here at Gardner-Webb. But you really can't, because I'm your chair and I'm a full-time Gardner-Webb person, you really have met that big standard. All right. Any questions on the committee makeup? All right. So let's look at the timelines that the dissertation that Gardner-Webb puts on you. You have from 7 years from the time that you entered into the coursework, which was 700. That was probably two years ago for you, to finish your doctoral program. But I just want to remind you, every semester that you don't do that dissertation, and you are still implying that you want to do it, which we want you to finish, you are going to be paying Gardner-Webb. So that's why it is important that you make a commitment to it this semester to get chapters 1, 2, and 3 done. Because I'm telling you, those are the hardest ones. Chapters 4 and 5, you'll find the work will come while you're doing, a lot of work will be done during that time that you write chapter 4. And you'll be doing that also this semester, some of your surveys and things, but it really will start adding up unless you really put a real good commitment to this. All right, so usually you've completed the coursework, which you all have within the first 2 years of school, of university, and then 712, which is what you're in now. This is the starting course. It's a 6-hour course. This is where you start working with your chair and your committee, but mostly your chair. And then there's a 713. This is usually at the ending of the course if everything's going well. And this is also where you work with your chair. You can go beyond, but of course it does cost you. Usually your proposal, when you sit before that committee and say, this is the study I'd like to do, that happens at the end of 712, this course, which means sometime in December, sometime in August. That's usually, or late July, August. That's usually when that happens. And then your defense usually happens at the end. If everything's moving along in a good pace, usually ends at 713, which would put you all around Christmas. And it's okay if you do your defense sometime in January or February, but we need to be as close to that target date as possible so you don't have to sign up for another course. The style of the course is APA. The type you will be asked to do, you'll have to decide what kind of study you want to do, qualitative or quantitative. Whether one is based on the facts and surveys and opinions, or one is based on a lot of numbers. The role of the chair is going to be the most important person on the committee. They will talk you through the dissertation. They'll be the person who kind of gives you guidance at the beginning. Your team, your committee will also give you guidance at the defense, and then your team will also give you guidance at your proposal, and then again at your defense. There is one little site here that I've put here that's a good site for information about writing dissertations. Any questions on that? I'll probably add more Q&A. If you got any more questions, we'll try to get them. But I just want to give you a general overframe of how quickly and what we need to be doing.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
Is there a form that we turn in during the 712 course that identifies who our chair is and our 2 committee members? I saw on here where you request a new chair, but do we?
Yes,
I was thinking there was, but.
Yeah, under this required documents, in order to do your proposal, well, request.
I couldn't find it today.
Here it is right here.
Oh.
Request for dissertation committee form. It's under required documents and proposals under that site I sent you.
Okay.
This is where you're naming your committee.
Gotcha.
All right, so just go back to
When do we turn that in?
all right, as soon as you have the information of who's on your committee.
And do we load that into the task stream or into this?
Let me see. I think you send that to Steve Laws.
Okay.
I will check to be sure, but that goes to Steve Laws since he's chairman of the department.
Okay.
All right, so then that, Cynthia, is right here at the very top under day 1 or session 1.
Yes.
That will get you to that.
Right.
All right, any questions so far on the process or anything? It'll be a moving, will be a moving target. All right, so you got to get the APA book if you don't already have it. You've got to get someone else's dissertation so you can begin to look at it. You got to read chapter 1, kind of get a feel for what you need to have in your chapter 1. You got to have your research, your topic, and then you got to have your research questions. So that's what we're going to be talking about, our individual sessions, which I'm going to schedule with you before we leave tonight. They're individual sessions or through email. But all right, but chapter 1 is the introduction chapter. And I have given you some guidance here. It should be about 20 to 25 pages. And it pretty much follows this outline here. In chapter 1, you are basically introducing what you want to do and what you want to accomplish with your dissertation. So of course, you're going to have an introduction to it. You're going to have a background. You're going to state your problem, which is your research question, or I'm sorry, what your research topic is. You're going to state what your research questions are. You must tie it to a theoretical framework. Now, a theoretical framework is a broad topic in school and education, like school reform, multiculturalism. Those are the theoretical frameworks. So in other words, if you had to put your dissertation under an umbrella, what would be here at the very top of that umbrella? What is that framework? Is it school improvement? Is it multiculturalism? Is it curriculum and instruction? So it's a broader framework that most of the research and education is developed around. Don't worry about it if you're not there yet. We'll help you find what that is. But the reason why that's important is because that also helps you determine what your research, what types of research you're going to do.
All right. Can you freeze for just a second?
Okay.
I'll go back to the, because I was taking some notes, the theoretical framework. I get it that it's that broad umbrella. Sorry about these updates you guys can hear. But tell me again a couple examples that you mentioned.
It's like multiculturalism. It's like teacher instruction. It's
like professional development?
That's one. That's a theoretical framework. So it's the broad umbrella that whatever your research, if we had to put it in a category, a big category, that's where it would go. School improvement, multiculturalism, professional development, training, those kinds of things.
Thank you.
Okay, So here, and then of course you'd want to go into some of your definitions. If you're using definitions, remembering that those of us who read your dissertation are already attuned to educational jargon, but if there are some definitions, you may want to define multiculturalism, you may want to define what professional development is, looking at whatever is some of the big terms that fall out of theoretical framework. Who you're going to be writing it to, the purpose of your study, some of the assumptions, some of the limitations. And the limitations are the things that that you have some control over, and delimitations, let me make sure I'm getting, all right, limitations are out of your control. Delimitations are things that are in your control, but you are choosing to work around. The significance of the study and the summary. So again, I've kind of broken it down a little bit. The introduction, significance of the study, you base these around your research questions. You talk about the problem, what it is, and how you're doing your research. You define the problem clearly. To whom is it a problem? Why is it a problem? What will happen if the problem's not solved? Then your problem statement. You got to find at least 3 or 5 current experts who have signed in on professional development, have signed in on student learning, and use those as a part of your research a little bit later on. You'll need to do some, in this one, and this is the beginning of chapter 2. It's kind of setting the stage for chapter 2, because if you are mentioning it in these 5 or 6 pages where you're talking about the research people, because again, you're trying to, your global theme or your framework, that conceptual framework, that's kind of what you're going to have a couple of information about, or a couple of pages each about some research on that. All right, and then of course the purpose of the study, what kind of study it's going to be, how will you obtain the data, and then the conceptual framework that is centered around and the research that's built around it and the experts. So chapter 1, 20 to 25 pages, all built around an introduction to your project. You're talking about why it's important, why you're doing it, who's it for, what's the broad research questions you're going to pull from, and that should get us there in about 20 pages.
And do we assume that this order that you've listed, that's the order we would follow for writing chapter 1?
That's the one I would recommend.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to be sure.
And if you do that, I mean, and then again, you know, one may be 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, a page or something. But again, I think if you cover all of these things, you've got a really good chapter 1.
Dr. Stone?
Yes.
All this information, even how we can get to the recordings, will be on our 712 on the Blackboard?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to try to record it, and because I have another class at 6, I don't know how that's going to be, because with the way Zoom works, I don't know. Yes, it should be recorded, but all of this information, of course, is sitting there on 712.
Okay.
You really need to find out whether or not you have access to it.
I mean, I should. You know, Ms. Griffiths put me in the class. I just haven't tried to go in there yet.
Right, and then make sure you got to come down here and do this. Where is it? The course overview. You got to do that verification thing. So everyone really should do this right away. This verification. That way they won't kick you out of the system, and 712 will be available to you. Now.
Okay.
All right. So let me kind of talk about, for the next session that we meet, I'm going to talk about chapter 2. So between now and June the 11th, I'm hoping that you kind of put together chapters 1, 2, and 3. I mean, chapter 1, and then I can kind of introduce chapter 2 to you under session 2, introduce chapter 3 to you under session 3, and in session 4, we can kind of wrap it up. Now, what I would also like to do before you do a defense, I would like for you, I'm not a defense, before you do your proposal, I would like for you to do a dry run with us. So there may be a meeting that I have like a Saturday morning that we could kind of each practice on each other, because I've set in on a number of these defense proposals, and some people really need a lot of practice. Not saying you do, but I think that would be the benefit, that your colleagues can ask questions and I can ask questions, because what I really want when you go in for that proposal is for them to say, because what you really want when they finish is for them to sign off that you can go ahead and start doing your research. because if they don't, they say we need some major changes, that's going to really slow you down. So what I really want is to make sure that you're ready when we get started. All right, do we have any questions? Pam, let me ask you, how far along are you with your topic and your research questions? You're muted. Pam, you're muted.
I got it. Sorry,
Okay.
took me a second. I have my topic and I have some questions, but Dr. Laws and I have gone round and round and round, and I don't know if they're good questions. So I have those, and I have that. That's about as far as I am.
Okay, what you need to do then, Pam, is you need to send me in an email whatever you have so far.
Okay.
And then you and I'll set up a time where we can meet and talk about it, just you and I. And again, I'm your chair, so you know I may see things a little differently, and that's okay. I'm going to be the one that takes you through the committee, so.
Okay.
And I will help you hopefully get to those 3 very good questions, as
Okay.
well as get you started on chapter 2.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So, is there a good time for us to have that meeting?
Give me a
How about
time
next
frame.
Wednesday? I tell you what, if you will shoot me, the best days for me, I have to tell you, are Tuesdays. I have a 6 o'clock class on Tuesdays, which I will have all summer. And that goes from 6 until about 7:30. But I can Zoom after 7:30 on Tuesday nights, or I can Zoom if you are comfortable with the 4:30 to 5:30 or something like that. And this again is your private Zoom. This is where we talk about specifically where you share stuff you have on screen with me, and we kind of walk through it.
Okay.
Do you want to shoot me some?
Tuesdays are your best, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Stay away from the 5:30 to 7:30 block p.m.
Okay.
And Cynthia, the same thing for you. Just shoot me some couple times, and I will Zoom with you as much as you need me to privately. But these 4 sessions are kind of to introduce a topic or a chapter. So if you'll shoot me a couple of times too, Cynthia.
Yes, sir.
And always shoot me stuff that you have. I mean, whenever you finish something, I'm available to review it and to give you feedback. And don't let this outline slow you down. I mean, this timeline, because if you're already ahead of the game, move on as fast as you can. But my real intent is, if you stick with me, we're going to have you ready in August to do your proposal. But if you've got to follow this timeline, if you are starting from ground zero or close to it. All right. So you all will shoot me some dates and times that you can meet. And I'm thinking next week, maybe. Particularly Pam, might be good for you and I to touch base soon. Cynthia, I know you're starting to work on things. We probably need to touch base next week or the following week when you've got a little bit more.
Okay.
But you can always shoot me stuff through email, either one of them, and I'll review it and give you some honest opinion. But Pam, I've seen Cynthia's kind of work already, but I really need from you right away what it is you're going to be working on.
Okay. I sent you an email request for next Tuesday at 4:15.
Okay. All right. But can you send me by email, whatever?
I'll send you what I have. My notebook is at home, so I'll type that up and send you what I have now. I'm a paper pencil girl. Sorry.
That's no problem. All right. Any questions before we zoom out? I'm excited about this semester. We're going to get 4 doctors out of this soon. All right. See y'all later.
Thank you, Dr. Stone. Good night.
Thank you.